In this video, I'm going to go over the different strategies that I used in my 20s to become a millionaire in my 30s. So if you guys are just graduating from college, or if you're starting working in a career and you want to find a path to become a millionaire in your early 30s, then definitely watch this video all the way into the end. So the first step to becoming a millionaire in your early 30s is you have to learn how to save money. Now this may seem like a super obvious answer, but saving money is an important skill that you need to learn early on. Some people say that they aren't able to save anything, but I can almost guarantee you that there are some luxuries in your life that you are spending a lot on that you don't necessarily need to spend on. So for example, if you're young and just starting out your career, you don't necessarily need that nice BMW to show off to all your friends. I personally drive a Toyota Corolla. They are super affordable, they have great gas mileage, and honestly, they look pretty great. Some other people also blame the high cost of living expenses to their inability to save money. But even then, I challenge you guys to think of other ways that you could save money. I personally do the house hacking strategy, where I bought a property and then I rent out all the other rooms to other people so that my cost of living expenses are really low, if not zero. And this enables me to live in an expensive market like in the Bay Area and save a majority of my income. If you're young and just getting out of college, then there's a good chance that you're already used to living with roommates anyway. So feel free to sacrifice a few years of having your own private space by getting roommates and continuing to live in apartments or rent out a small room. Rooms in the Bay Area only go for $800 to $1,200 per month. So it enables you to save a lot more money rather than renting out an entire apartment yourself. And again, as an example, when I was working full-time as an engineer, I was making a decent salary, but because I was living in the Bay Area and house hacking, my cost of living was very low and I was able to save a lot of money. Whereas I had a coworker who was making a little bit more money than me, but he decided to live up in the city, up in San Francisco, and because he was in the city, his rent was sky high. He had to commute an hour and a half every single day, one way, which meant that he was spending a lot of money on gas. And because he lived in the city, every single weekend, his friends wanted to hang out, they had nice dinners, they would go out clubbing, and he just spent most of his money. So after 2 years, even though he was making more money from salary, I was able to save a lot more because I was able to save the difference and invest it in something else. So figure out how you can save, be disciplined, and also watch out for something called hedonistic adaptation. Hedonistic adaptation is when you start spending more as your salary increases. So as an example, when you're just starting out your career, you tend to buy cheaper things. So you don't go out to fancy restaurants, you don't tend to buy the nicest cars, and you tend to live in a pretty humble environment. But then as your salary increases, your cost of living expenses go up too. You drive a nicer car, you go out to nicer restaurants, and of course you get a bigger place. But if you can avoid that temptation to spend more as your income increases, then you'll be able to save more as your income increases instead. So the best way to do that is before you even get your paycheck into your liquid checking account, dedicate a percentage and invest that money. If you work full-time for an employer, you're usually able to adjust how much percentage goes to which bank account. So for me, before I even get money in my checking account, I dedicate a certain percentage of my paycheck into my investment account. So before I even see that money in my checking account to spend money on, I already know that in the back end, I've already invested my money and I can now spend the rest. And I can feel guilt-free about spending this money. So step one, learn how to save your money and you'll become a millionaire very quickly. So the second tip to becoming a millionaire in your early 30s is you need to learn how to invest and you need to invest now. Learn how to invest and learn how to diversify your portfolio. I'm personally invested in stocks, I have some bonds, I have cryptocurrencies, and I have real estate. Over the long run, you're gonna be ahead. So don't worry about the short-term fluctuations and don't worry if you think that there's gonna be a correction anytime soon. Because here's the fact, if you wait too long, then you might miss the boat. I remember back when I got my first job as an intern and I started investing in the stock market. At the time, the S&P 500 was around $1,250. And I remember my friend saying that this is overinflated, that there's gonna be a correction soon, and he's gonna wait until the next crash before buying in. And I told him, it might be true that there might be a correction in the near future, but I don't believe that the stock market is really gonna crash that hard. And so I'm just gonna keep investing and doing dollar cost averaging, which means that I'm gonna put a set amount of money and invest in the stock market over time. So with dollar cost averaging, if the price goes down, I can buy more shares, and if the price goes up, then I'll buy less shares, but I'm investing a fixed amount of money every single month. And because my friend decided not to buy at the time, the stock market kept going up and up and up and up. And by the time he actually started investing, the stock market had doubled in value. Right now, the S&P 500 is at $4,500. So I've made almost 4 times my initial investment by investing so early and just being consistent with it. Whereas he missed the boat and could have made more money if he just started investing when I did. So when it comes to investing, don't worry too much about sudden corrections or if things are gonna go down in the near future. I say just buy things now, hold on to it long term, and you're gonna be rewarded 10 years down the line. A lot of people think that they're going to be able to time the market, wait for a crash, and then go in. But I argue that if you don't even have the guts to buy it now when things are good, I don't believe you're going to buy it when things are bad. There are some jokes of people back in 2010 or 2011 who were looking at properties and seeing the prices fall down 50% and then saying, you know what, the prices are down 50% from their all-time highs of 2007. We're going to wait for it to go down even lower. Looking back, buying properties in 2011 was probably the best time to buy real estate. And because of their greed, they missed out on buying real estate at a very, very affordable and good price. Even in my case, when I started buying real estate in 2016, people were telling me that the prices were overheated, that the real estate market was going to crash, and that now is not a good time to get in. Now looking back, 2016 was a great time to get in because all of my investments have pretty much doubled in value, which means I've actually made even more profit because most of these properties are leveraged. So if I took people's advice, then I would have missed out on all of those gains. And on the flip side, back in 2013, people were telling me to buy Bitcoin. And I knew about it, but I thought the prices back then were overinflated. Now looking back, I could have bought Bitcoin at under $1,000 per coin. Now they're worth $50,000 per coin. So I definitely missed the boat on that one. So long story short, when it comes to investing, do your research, watch videos, listen to podcasts, read books, and educate yourself, and then start investing in different assets while having a long-term view of your investment. Because over a 10-year profile, you're gonna tend to do better than just holding on to cash. And then finally, a way that I was able to become a millionaire in my 30s was I created multiple streams of income. Now the largest one is actually gonna be a full-time job. But I argue that instead of just going for the job that pays you the most money up front, go for the job that you're good at and that you actually enjoy doing. If you can work at a job where you genuinely enjoy the work, then you're gonna be working a lot harder than someone who hates their job and is just doing it for the money. And by working harder and having fun doing it, you're naturally gonna get paid more money. In my example, I used to work as an engineer, and I gotta admit, I did that job because of the money. The income was decent and, it was okay. I didn't feel fulfilled and I definitely didn't spend extra time at work more than I had to. Once it was quitting time, I left the office ASAP. Sometimes I would even leave earlier because I didn't want to be there. I felt like I was wasting my time at this job and I knew that I had no long-term prospects there. But now I work as a hard money lender, which means that all day long, I talk to real estate investors and people from my YouTube channel who ask about real estate investing advice. I find this job to be incredibly rewarding and it's a lot of fun because all I do now is I make YouTube videos, I create podcasts, I go to meetup groups, and I just talk to other investors and give them loans. And it's so cool being able to help you guys and your dreams by funding your projects. So because of that, I work extra long. Oftentimes I'm up at 2 a.m. working on these loans because I want to make sure these deals get funded. And because of this, I do more and more loans and become more successful with my career as a hard money lender. Now that being said, you still need to have multiple streams of income because in the off chance, you might lose your job or you might be furloughed because of an event like the pandemic. In my case, I have multiple streams of income from my real estate investments. These give me passive cash flow every single month and give me the peace of mind in case I lose that job. Sometimes people are stuck in something called the golden handcuffs where they can't leave their job because that's their only stream of income. In our case, if I left my full-time job, then I wouldn't feel too bad because I have these passive income streams and it wouldn't really impact my standard of living. Besides real estate investing, you could pick up a side hustle like working for Uber, renting out your car on Turo, renting out a room on Airbnb, or doing some side gigs on Fiverr and Upwork. You could even start selling merchandise on Amazon FBA or Merch by Amazon. So there's definitely a lot of different ways that you can create different side hustles to create more income for you in case you lose your main income from your full-time job. So these are my tips for 20-something-year-olds to become a millionaire in their 30s. Thanks again for watching, you guys. My name is Sean, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.